Hello, good evening, and welcome to the War Room. This is a late start. I had a late start. This is day 61 of Russia's incursion into the Ukraine. We haven't had a lot to talk about for the last couple of days, but that's about to change. I do have some stories for you. Not many, but they're pretty important. And I thought I would give you an update of what's been going on for the last couple of days, because my original goal for this show was to do this every single day until the conflict had ended. And what had happened was um, life got in the way. Life always gets in the way. So, for those of you who didn't know, if you're a regular on my Discord server, you probably found out that I had to deal with a week of having army showers, which means no heat. My water heater decided to explode a week ago, and I was throwing parts at the problem that didn't fix it. So then I found out that the actual problem was a part that was half the cost of a new water heater that I previously installed 8 years ago, and so I had to replace it. And so I did on Sunday, which was like wrestling a bear out of a phone booth, because my water heater goes into a utility room pantry next to my kitchen, and it was literally just wide enough for me to wrap my hands around the damn thing and wiggle it out inch by inch. What made it worse was I drained the water out of it, or I thought I did, on the top half. That went fine. Closed the valve, then stuck a garden hose on the bottom half, opened the petcock, thought it was draining. It was dribbling out very slowly. I think old people have sex faster than this thing drained. And chickened out because it started dribbling around the valve. So I thought, oh, maybe I pulled this out too far and it's about to dump 40 gallons of water all over the floor. That didn't happen. I chickened out, I shut it off, and then proceeded to wrestle a 400-pound water heater by myself 30 feet out of the house. Needless to say, I tore a muscle in my left glute. Yes, I broke my ass cheek. And I strained both calves, both quads, my hamstrings, my shoulders, and my left pectoral muscle. But I got that fucker out. And then, even though I had all that damage, my coworker George, for those of you who are on the lobby for working stiffs throughout the week, you know that he uses the F word like we use a comma. And he helped me with his new $52,000 Toyota 4Runner haul a new water heater home, because I don't have a truck yet, not till the end of the year. Um, and then I managed to drag that thing into the house. He offered to help me move it into the location where the old one was. And what was really funny is he says, "Hey, can I help you drag that in there?" And I was like, "Well, first of all, it's a tight space. Second of all, I wrapped my hands around this thing. I picked it up and just walked it into the space, dropped it in." And he looked at me like shocked. He goes, "I can't believe you did that." And I said, "Why not?" And he says, "Well, the box says this thing weighs 127 pounds. And I looked at him and I said, "That thing weighed less than one half what the other one I took out was." And he says, "How's that even possible?" So I took him outside to where I wrestled the old one out. And I said, "Well, I did this petcock thing, and I thought I was about to break it and drop 40 gallons of water all over the floor." And he says, "So what'd you do?" And I said, "Well, I brought it outside, took the hose off, and then opened it up all the way and realized, oh, no, it does dribble a little bit." And 20 gallons of water came out of that thing. And he looks at me and he goes, "So what you're meaning to tell me is that you dragged a water heater out that was half full?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "You do realize that water is 8 pounds per gallon?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "You dragged out a 310-pound water heater by yourself?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, You do realize you're an idiot, right?" And I said, "Well, I didn't want to make the mess." And he goes, I still can't believe you did it." So yeah, I manhandled the new one, which was empty, effortlessly into the space, and then installed it. So this morning it was very nice because I didn't have to take an army shower for the first time in 7 days. I actually got to use temperature, which was nice. But I had to get all cleaned up because I had to go see my girlfriend, who is the assistant to my dentist, who installed my permanent crown today. And I'm proud to say that it fits beautifully. So Pwnery has a full set of teeth again, and can eat T-bones and porterhouses and ribeyes with impunity, which is exactly what I did before we got on air tonight. Sorry for the late start. Other things that happened, there weren't a lot of stories over the weekend, so my apologies for not having a show, but there just wasn't a lot I can cover. So what was I supposed to do? Today's show's slightly different. There were some stories. This is going to be a relatively short show. There's a few stories, but they're very important. I did update the scroller, as you can see scrolling below you. Um, what else? I released the PSA K47 Gen 4 video on Sunday at 3:30 in the morning. I had a long weekend. I got to spend time with my girlfriend, who is my dentist assistant, on the weekend, and then I got to see her today. And then I got to peck her on the cheek before I left, after she put my shiny new tooth in. And the doctor looked at her and he goes, "When did this start happening?" And she says, "Well, the last time he was in here on April 1st." So, yeah, she's special. She's also 16 years younger than me, but she doesn't care. So, cool. Anyway, we have a full panel, and I will share that with you. And I think I already apologized for the late start. So let me go ahead and start dragging my panelists in before I dig myself into a hole. I would like to say before I drag them in, today's show is sponsored in part, not really, but it is sponsored in part by a set of cough drops that my co-host suggested to me, which are the absolute strongest things I've ever had, which is fantastic. So now I buy these things in a 6-pack. So I have like 300 of these things. But Fisherman's Friend Original Extra Strong Cough Drops. Apparently these came from up north, and they are literally the strongest cough drop I've ever had. It's not that I have a cough, I have allergies and my mucus glands are insane. So these things numb my sinuses and my throat, which gives me this velvety, super awesome voice that I can give you today. And it also helps me do my Dr. Claw impression, which, if you haven't heard it before, it usually goes somewhere along the lines of, "I'll get you, Gadget, next time." Anyway, I can usually do that better if I actually put some effort into it. I also do Wing Commander's Kilrathi voices, in case you need somebody who could do voiceovers. But yeah, I jokingly say that today's show is sponsored by Fisherman's Friend because I have a 6-pack sitting right next to me, and I just stuck a new one in my mouth because they work very good. Um, Better than Tom Jones's Vocal Zones, which I used to take. So there's that. If anyone from that company is listening and you want to sponsor me, send me like a truck full of those things because I eat about 20 of these things a day. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started because I'm dropping viewers on the live thing as near as I can tell because I'm probably boring you all to death. So my first panelist is my tradesman out of New England. This is Scott P79, and my next panelist is the progenitor of GunTube and the host of many podcasts. You probably know him from Hit or Miss, which is Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock. And he also does the Whatever Night Strike, depending on what day he decides to do them in. So Thursday, Friday, sometimes Saturday, sometimes Sunday. So this is Mikhail Nightstrikesky, also known as Night Strike. And my last panelist, who is apparently camera shy like G-Webs of old, the Polish Hammer, also known as the Warsaw Patriot. So, good evening to all of you.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Sorry for the long intro. I just wanted to get people up to speed on what's been going on.
Right.
So yeah, new header, new footer on the map because I figured you guys were sick of seeing the same ones over and over. Uh, like I was saying before, the original goal was to do these every day, but the longer this conflict goes on, the less stories I have to work on the timeline. So um, I'm
He
not
took the
saying
weekend
that
off, guys. He took the weekend off.
not deliberately. It's just there wasn't really many stories to work with. Um,
Oh, Sean, since we're
yes,
talking about stories,
yes,
did you see what I sent you just a couple days ago?
yes.
They gave a freaking Browning machine gun. Like, are you kidding me?
I'll take it. Shit, you just derailed me. I forgot what I was about to say now. Damn it.
Sorry about that.
Thanks,
No, it's
Warsaw.
okay. It's
Thank
okay.
you.
It's perfectly fine.
No, no, it's not
Oh,
okay. Don't enable him.
no.
Don't enable him.
Things that
Oh,
happened over the weekend.
mhm.
Um,
But you missed
so
yesterday. You missed day 60.
no, I know my new water heater was in yesterday, and this morning I got a very, very generous thank you from my mother because apparently in my absolutely ridiculously drunken stupor, I had installed a hard line to her computer so she can stream video now, which she's doing right now. But yeah, I cut the holes in the drywall and ran the wall plates, ran the cables and everything. And I don't even remember doing any of it. But she walked me right over to where I put the wall plate. She goes, "You did this yesterday." And I'm like, "No, I didn't." And she goes, "It's right there." And I looked down. I'm like, "Man, I did a good job." She's like, "How drunk were you?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't remember doing this." So I guess that tells you how far I was. I imbibed myself because of my torn muscles. So I went to bed really early last night, too. Either way, we're not like '04 or '08 Hemi drunk. We were just make the pain stop hurting in your butt cheek and your legs, that kind of.
I don't know. You might have been hemi drunk.
No,
If you
no.
don't remember running a cable,
Listen, if I was Hemi drunk, I wouldn't have run a cable. I would have shot a hole in the wall and just pushed a cable through. No, 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 no. Everything turned out fine, apparently, because no, it turned out fine.
Let
Anyway,
me ask you this. Let me ask you this at least.
go
Did
ahead.
you get a hangover?
No, you see, because I realized how many sheets to the wind I was, and I was pounding down pints of ice water last night before I went to bed to the tune of 7. I thought I was gonna wake up in the middle. I was either gonna wake up in the middle of the night and pee, or I was gonna wet the bed. I was so dehydrated that 7 pints of ice water went into me and nothing came out this morning. I literally pissed dust, like macaroni and cheese powder dust. I was like, damn, I must have really had a few. But you know what? There was enough left in the fridge for today, so it couldn't have been too bad. Anyway, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
My alcoholism aside, uh, I mean, think about it. New water heater, ran the wall drop, and did the AK video with no mistakes. Couldn't have been that bad. Either that or I'm a drunken savant. Oh, and
I'm
spent
gonna
time
go
with the
with that.
girlfriend Saturday. Yeah, that went well. Really well. She's hooked. She's hooked on the sauce. Anyway, before this turns into something that I can't have on
Yeah,
YouTube,
let's continue.
let's just move on. Yeah. So we do
We
have
got a lot to talk about.
not really. Like I'm looking at my notes here. Maybe a dozen stories. I'm gonna get you guys in and out of here within an hour, and I've already wasted 14 minutes of your time. Uh,
Well, I wouldn't say it was wasted.
no, I wasted your time. This whole thing is a waste of your time. You guys have so many better things to do than to listen to me rant.
No,
Um,
I'd just be doing what you would be doing, except I do it more often.
You do it on
Crazy.
Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock.
Well, besides that one,
I was
you forget I also do Fridays too.
I do have a joke. Like, I know this is serious, but I have a joke in today's first story. And when
Okay.
you see it on the YouTube side, I'm pretty sure you're going to be like, look, listen, that was really funny, but that was creepy also because it was spot on. I keep looking at Antony Blinken's face, and I see somebody else's face, and it scares the
I know where you're
absolute
going.
shit out of me. So I'm going to show that to you. So, first of all, let me go ahead and say good evening to Shady Hill, Randy Adams, and Terry Scher, and I'm sure all of the other ones who just lurk and watch later, because I do get a lot of views after I shut down for the night. It's just, maybe they're just a little gun shy on the YouTube side, chat, whatever. Anyway, we're gonna discuss what I think Antony Blinken really is, and when I show you what he looks like, if you have nightmares, I am a psychologist. I am here. I'm available for your therapy. Also, we're going to discuss the future of ammo shortages and the next bullshit excuse they're going to give us. I think that's the last story of the day. So, yeah, buckle up because it's going to be fun. And Mikhail Naistryksky was very adamant on doing this show tonight because he did share a story with me, which
Sure, a couple of them.
technically was yesterday's news, but it fits. And that's why it's the last story of the day.
It showed up today for me, so
Yes.
yes, it might have been
And
yesterday, but it came up in my news feed today.
I'm telling you what, I'm proud of you for using that source because I use it too. And it's not terrorist TV like most people think it is. As you discovered, it's actually
Yeah.
quite good journalism.
Well, most of the guys working there are, you went to like British universities, so
Sure, yeah, they're mostly English
mostly
speaking people with
British.
a British accent. Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, I think one thing I wanted to mention over the weekend, one of the longest running tenured senators in American history had died Saturday, which was Senator Orrin Hatch
Yeah, no.
out of Utah. And this morning, Mitch Bulldog Cheeks, I married a Chi-Com McConnell, actually delivered a very touching, I don't want to say it's a eulogy, but he spent time on the floor today to discuss his colleague, and I thought it was actually quite touching. Like, he was very candid about, what he had to say, and it felt very genuine, because I think when Orrin Hatch died, Mitch McConnell decided or realized, well, shit, I'm not far behind. I'm about as old as this motherfucker. with his bulldog cheeks flapping away.
Don't be disrespectful about Orrin Hatch because he was a family friend.
Was he?
Yes. You have no idea how many times that we were at events with him, and he would yell at us.
Out of Utah.
Well, not Utah. He lived in Arizona before he moved to Utah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and his wife visited our home many times. I think he only visited like once.
I got no vices. I got no beef with him. I know he was 8 years senior to Mitch McConnell, and I suspect Mitch McConnell probably looked at that and goes, well, shit, if it can happen to him, it can happen to me too. I better say something nice before I keel over. That's my really poorly done Mitch McConnell impression. I haven't had time to prep that.
I'm sorry, but
we my family knew Orrin Hatch and his wife very, very well. So,
Mitch McConnell, I hate to say it, but he looks like a face of a rat or a mouse.
Every time he talks, he's got these big, droopy, scrotum-like bulldog cheeks.
He doesn't like. Listen, I went to school in Kentucky. I lived in Kentucky for a few years, and he doesn't act like a normal Kentuckian.
No, he acts like a bitch.
Unfortunately,
because he's married to a Chi-Com.
That
has to protect him in public.
Who's the other guy that was related with the Chi-Com?
Eric Swallowswell.
Yeah, Eric Swalwell. Yeah,
Eric Swallowswell with his Chi-Com bitch Fang.
Fang.
And he was running away from the.
Don't forget certain California senators, Chi-Com driver.
That would be the demented Chucky doll. That would be Dianne Feinstein with the Rolodex of gun control bullshit bills that are actually written in 1946, and they're in very, crumbly parchment yellow paper. Yeah.
Oh,
her.
and how she affect her own state,
Yeah.
California?
Well, there are demands for her to take a cognitive test because
Mhm.
apparently she's fucking mental now.
No,
Is
she's been mental for years. People are
Of
just
course.
finally noticing it.
Well, I'm trying to be apolitical about it, but she is absolutely mental. I mean,
No,
like,
don't be apolitical about it. Just be
no, no,
honest.
no, no, no. I have to be objective. Like,
No, you
politics
don't.
aside, she sounds like a babbling idiot these days.
She is a babbling idiot, but she's been that one for years. That doesn't make
No, I'm
anything.
trying to be
Yeah.
polite in case someday I run for public office and they pull these
No,
podcasts up saying, "Why are you being so mean?"
don't be polite.
everybody's
You're screwed then.
I'm running. I'm gonna start my own party called the Wood Chipper Party. So
Yeah, well, I'm going to start my own party called the birthday party.
it's the Wood Chipper Party. It's just like there are no filters at the Wood Chipper Party. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started because now I've wasted 21 minutes of your time and I've only got
No, you didn't.
39 minutes left to present the news. First story comes out at 12:38 Central Time, my time, which would have been 7:38 a.m. Ukrainian time. Yes, very specific, because I take the time to find the exact minute. Anyway, this is the one that's got the joke built into it, so I want you to bear with me. I'm going to show you the regular picture here. And that face of the guy on the far right, that is Antony Blinken, the Secretary of State. Yeah. And just every time you see a photo of Antony Blinken, just pay attention to the color of his eyes, because if you notice, they're always solid black. Yeah. Anyway, let me read you the story, and then I will hyperimpose, not hyperimpose what I think he looks like. And if you have nightmares, I'm sorry, but you will not be able to unsee what I'm about to show you. So, anyway, on the positive, after many world leaders have decided to send their diplomats back to Kyiv, back to the embassies, and to maintain diplomatic relations, U.S. diplomats will return to Ukraine this week, and the U.S. will announce more military aid to Ukraine after a high-profile meeting between Secretary of State Antony Blinken, the guy on the right, and Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, the bumbling idiot on the left, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who apparently is very short. I didn't know that. And others in Kyiv on Sunday, who traveled with the U.S. delegation. The meeting with Blinken, Austin, and Zelensky also included Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba, which is a name you've heard me say many times, Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov, which is a name you haven't heard before, Oksana Makarova, which you have heard before, General Valery Zaluzhny, and Head of Presidential Administration Andriy Yermak, and Presidential Aide Andriy Sibiha. Secretary Austin brought Laura Cooper, Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense Lieutenant General Randy George, his senior military aide, Tom Sullivan, Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy at State, and the brother of Jake Sullivan, accompanied by Blinken. So, we have sent in a dream team of diplomats, while the rest of the world sent their actual leaders, presidents and prime ministers. I'm not sure how I feel about this, because the fact of the matter is everyone sent their presidents and prime ministers. We sent in everything but. I'm not sure how to take that. Now, one could argue that the United States is the only real global superpower left on the map, considering how poorly the Russian Federation has conducted their illegal war, let's be honest, and how quiet China has been lately. So, in terms of global superpowers, I think we're by ourselves now. And the idea of sending the leader of the solitary global superpower at the risk of his own personal security is quite dangerous. So maybe this was not a bad idea. I still don't agree with it, but I don't know. Maybe it wasn't a bad idea. Because, I mean, if let's just say Biden gets clapped in Ukraine, right? The last global superpower lost its commander in chief. Bumbling idiot as he is, the
He really is.
yes, but the symbolic significance of him being taken out would be devastating. So I sort of understand why they're doing this, but I still don't agree with it.
So
Anyway,
wait. What are they doing exactly?
we sent in okay, the British Prime Minister, right?
Mhm.
Uh,
Okay.
that would be Boris Johnson.
Okay.
He went personally and walked the streets of Kyiv side by side with Volodymyr Zelensky.
Okay.
I believe well, it was several prime ministers and presidents. Lithuania, Estonia, Poland. I'm not sure if Germany did.
Slovakia.
Slovakia did. The Czech
Serbia?
Republic did. I'm not
what
sure
was
if
Serbia?
Serbia did. But yeah, a lot of them showed up, right? The presidents and prime ministers, the authority figure of each country showed up. And we didn't do that. We sent in everybody else. But
Except their president.
yeah, but to be fair, I think I made a fair assumption of why. Number one, personally, because he's an idiot. But symbolically, if we are the last global superpower, sending him into a security risk would have been dangerous. So I sort of understand it. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. What's more important to me, though, is Anthony Blinken, because that
Right.
motherfucker is Nosferatu. Do you need proof? Let me show you. Maybe you'll recognize this picture. But this guy, that guy. Look, I even lined up the shoulder blades and the fucking collars. If you don't know who that is, that's the head vampire in 30 Days of Night. Look at those black, soulless eyes of him and Blinken. And him and Blinken. And him and holy fuck. I'm just saying, that scares the shit out of me. He's Nosferatu. Anyway, that all joking aside, I was just really
Oh,
proud of myself.
He is a Democrat. I wouldn't put it past him.
I was just proud of myself for the fact that the shoulder blades and the collars of the shirts lined up perfectly with what I just did. So,
Yeah, you got that one.
victory
You got
lap.
that one.
Victory lap. But no, every time I see his, just soulless black eyes, I'm like, you know what? I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he scares the shit out of me just on appearance. I'm like, Jesus. He scares me more than Hillary Clinton. Anyway.
Ooh, I can't say.
Ouch.
Yeah. Because, I see Hillary Clinton, the first word that comes to my mind is cunt.
No.
So.
That's a hard choice.
No.
Feinstein, Hillary Clinton. Who's worse?
Ooh,
Clinton.
Feinstein all day long.
Clinton. I never call Feinstein a cunt. Clinton, it's just like, I could see it glowing off of her forehead. I hate that woman. She is just, she has nothing redeeming about her. I don't like the way she looks. I don't like the way she talks. I don't like her attitude. I don't like her politics. Nothing. At least when I look at Dianne Feinstein, I'm like, I'll give you a pass. You've got dementia. I'm sure you're a lovely grandmother.
What about beforehand, though?
No, Clinton still. Hate her. Hate her. I mean, look what she did to her husband. Think about this. Sammy Hagar and Bill Clinton are the same age. Look at their faces. Look at the difference. That woman is a fucking succubus. I don't think...
You could say there was also the cocaine and the marijuana that Bill had.
No.
And the hookers.
You don't think Sammy Hagar had any of that? Are you fucking kidding me?
I'm not saying he didn't, but
dude, he was ripping He was ripping lines of coke off of fucking groupies' tits for years. Are you kidding me? No. She's a succubus, plain and simple. She's sucking the life out of that man's face. Anyway, if you ever find my body outside of the outskirts of Chappaqua, you know who the fuck did it. Moving on. Second story. God, now I've wasted 29 minutes of your time. About an hour later, and I have this photo. And this photo is a reminder that you can't trust the Russians with shit. General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine released a statement saying that the Russian military has continued its besiegement of the Azovstal steelworks in Mariupol. Didn't these motherfuckers tell
Surprise,
us 3 days
surprise.
ago? Yeah, didn't these motherfuckers tell us 3 days ago, we're not going to attack that. It's not worth losing soldiers over, and we'll just starve them out until they surrender? 3 fucking days, and they started attacking again. They were like, you know what, fuck it, let's just bomb them. Yeah, the Azovstal plant is believed to be where the last resistance block of Ukrainian forces remain in the city. That resistance block is known as the 36th Marine Brigade. In
You
the
mean-
city of...
You mean Ukrainian Marines?
Yeah, 36th Marine Brigade are holed up there. The Azovstal plant... Oh, sorry. In the city of Mariupol, the Russian enemy launched missiles and bomb strikes on positions of Ukrainian troops on the territory of Azovstal plant. They used bunker busters, by the way. The Russian enemy conducts assault operations on the village of Popasna. Oh, Mad Sexy just made it. The 61st day of the Russia-Ukraine war did bring some victories for Ukraine, however. Ukraine's defense forces inflicted heavy losses on the enemy. In the Donetsk and Luhansk oblasts only, 7 enemy attacks have been repulsed in the last 24 hours. Oh, he fixed his audio, apparently. 13
Awesome.
tanks, 3 artillery systems, 17 armored vehicles, 4 armored combat vehicles, 18 regular vehicles, and 4 tankers were destroyed. 3 Orlan 10 unmanned aerial vehicles were also shot down by air defense units in the area. Had you been paying attention to the scroll
Fantastic.
at the bottom, you probably noticed I've made all those corrections. They were very busy this weekend. Good job, Ukraine.
job.
Slava Ukraini.
Heroim Slava.
Yeah, there you go. See?
Now, Sean, I hate to
Yes.
ask you,
Sure.
is there any other neighboring nations that aid and assist Ukraine?
Poland?
Other than Poland, I'm asking like a neighboring country right next to them, like Bulgaria, Georgia, anybody.
Yes.
Yes.
Slovakia.
Slovakia. There's Hungary. Who else? Who else is part of NATO?
Nah,
working?
Slovakia
Romania?
is the only real one right
All
now.
the Baltic.
Yeah, but he's talking about direct neighbors. Slovakia is the
I'm
only
talking
real
like anybody literally going in and actually assisting them.
Oh, no. Because the fact of the matter is if another nation's infantry goes inside to commit to the defense of Ukraine, they have now violated Article 5.
Yeah.
Now, what if it was a non-NATO country?
Such
Well, that's what
as
that's
Moldova.
that's what Bulgaria and Moldova is doing right now.
The problem with Moldova is it's a split country. So they allowed 9,000 Russian troops to occupy the Ukrainian border in Moldova and
Yep.
then allowed them to step off from that country to attack Ukraine in the southwest. Now, you have to be fair.
They were hijacked.
They were hijacked, exactly.
Read
But-
what I posted a few days ago.
The problem with Moldova is they're 50-50. They want Ukrainian refugees to come live and work because they had lost 1/5 of their population originally for the last couple of years due to the fact that Moldova is poor as fuck. Now, this isn't a dig at them. They're technically the poorest nation in the region in terms of industry, lack of natural resources, and stuff like that. So they are welcoming Ukrainians to come in and fill in the gaps. They were talking about how they have tons of positions for construction in the IT department and whatever. But it's hard to want to willingly go and start over in a country that had housed 9,000 troops of the enemy that came and displaced you in the first place. There's a trust issue there.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to address something. Mad Sexy says that it sounds like I fixed my audio. Let me be the first to tell you, I have not changed anything. Nothing. Everything is exactly
no,
the
you're
way I
not
set it up
changing
before.
anything.
No, I haven't. Like, I haven't changed the gains. I haven't touched anything. I don't know what
It's
to tell
just
you. But I'm
Mad
glad you
Sexy,
can hear us now.
your stuff wasn't working before. Okay, you fixed it now. So
I think
good
what
job.
he's trying to say, to quote Shaft, is, yo, shit's fucked up. Anyway. But I'm glad you can hear it now, so that's cool. I don't know. I can't tell you. I'm not speaking louder. I didn't change the gain because I've got it pegged out already. But, hey, if it works, whatever, right?
But so there's no reports of like Bulgaria going in and actually assisting the Ukrainian troops. So
Nope.
No. Now, there have been infantry units that have voluntarily joined, sort of a la Lafayette Escadrille style.
or the Georgian Legion of Ukraine.
Yeah. I lean towards Lafayette Escadrille because I always think of the movie Flyboys, and I always thought that was really awesome.
Mhm.
But the thing is they're volunteers, so they're technically not flying under the
Military.
flag of their host nation. So they're technically not violating Article 5. I have two friends who actually are still in theater. One was in New Jersey, one was in New York. They both went to their Ukrainian embassies, they volunteered, and they were on a plane in 48 hours. So sometimes if you see combat photos that I present to you that you don't see on any news sources, they were texted to me by people actually fighting. So I'm very grateful for that. Sometimes I get some photos that the news can't even allow to put on TV because of censorship. I put them on because I don't give a fuck. Oh, and I should probably mention, I have some pretty influential friends here locally now that are part of the Constitutional Convention of the States, and I keep saying that I'm going to try very hard not to use profanity, but I can't help it. I'm sorry. If you're listening to this, just know I don't have a filter.
Neither
So,
do we.
and I'm not going to change that. Like, if you need me to be a sledgehammer for your cause, that's what you're going to get, okay? Anyway, moving on. A couple of minutes later, I got another story. I don't have a photo for this one, so I'll just read it out to you. This was at 8:45 a.m. Ukrainian time, or about 2:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So there was an announcement at 2:45 in Washington, D.C. And it reads, President Joe Biden will announce at 7 a.m. Eastern that he is nominating a new ambassador to the Ukraine, a lady by the name of Bridget Brink. Brink is the current U.S. ambassador to Slovakia, which we brought up earlier. Has decades of experience in the region and previously served as deputy chief of mission in Tbilisi, Georgia, and Tashkent, Uzbekistan. So you brought up Georgia. So she has her finger on the pulse of the region. So I think he made the right choice here. Secretary of State 30 Days of Night, Antony Blinken, will also announce that U.S. embassy officials will return to Ukraine this week, which I probably already told you. Blinken will also announce $713 million in foreign military financing for Ukraine and 15 other U.S. allies, with $322 million to Ukraine, enabling the country to buy off-the-shelf weapons and ammunition from other countries that may have older, non-standard, and often Soviet-made weapons and ammunition that Ukrainians know how to use. So Mad Sexy was asking, is Ukraine winning? That depends on what part of the country you're in.
That's perspective.
That is absolutely perspective. So, moving along, about 3 hours later, it's 1:45 lunchtime now in Ukraine, and because he is in theater, I can use this photo here. God, that guy, Jesus. Anyway, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, the guy on the right, who sort of has a gray version, now that I'm looking at him, of Hank Strange's mohawk. Ew, not a good look. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said Monday that the goal for the Ukraine-Russia war is Ukrainian sovereignty and a weakened Russia. The part that I like about this is he's saying the quiet part out loud. Speaking with reporters in Poland, Austin said that the U.S. is committed to helping Ukrainian President Zelensky win the war. He has the mindset that they want to win, and we have the mindset that we want to help them win, Austin said. He also said that we want to see Ukraine remain a sovereign country, a democratic country, able to protect its sovereign territory. We want, here's the quiet part out loud. Pay very, very careful attention to his wording here. We want to see Russia weakened to the point where it can no longer do anything like invade Ukraine. Now, for those of you who've been watching this series, you have heard me say that we are at a very unique point in history where we could wipe Russia off the geopolitical map as a world power forever. Lloyd Austin just said the same thing. Think about that. The Ukrainian infantry today, the majority of those soldiers were born after the fall of the Soviet Union. They never knew socialism. They never knew communism. They were born into McDonald's and Starbucks, the Apple iPhone, and free to buy Adidas tracksuits. They were born into Mercedes-Benz in their country. If they were well-to-do, their parents bought them. They don't know communism. If you wipe out the relics of communism, i.e. Putin and his small band of commie
Miscreants.
morons, you could wipe Russia off the face of the earth geopolitically. Not the people, the concept of the Cold War boogeyman. You can kill the Cold War boogeyman once and for all. And once we do that, then you have an ally halfway around the world set up just like we are. And you can tell that country, hey, we're glad you finally wiped out that bullshit from your past. And we hope the youth of your country can take it into a new era that looks a lot like ours. We could learn to trust them to the point to say, hey, by the way, if anything happens on your side of the world, you handle it. We trust you. And if you need our help, give us a call. Right? We can build that trust. But not until Putin and his merry band of little FSB idiots are wiped off the face of the earth. We have that moment right now where we could do that. Maybe not us directly, but we can help those in conflict that can reach that goal. And that is monumental. Think of all the things that have been written in your history book here in the United States since you graduated high school. Okay? When I graduated high school, that was before 9/11. That's in the history books now. Operation Desert Storm, that was happening right before I graduated high school. Think of the Bosnia and Serbia and that whole conflict there. That's in history books. Think of Syria. Think of Aleppo. Think of all the bullshit that the butcher of Aleppo did in Syria.
I'm not going to say it this time, even though I want to.
All of that's in history books.
When I was in high school back in 2014,
Yeah.
I think it was my third year.
Yeah.
I remember when ISIS first became a thing and the news worldwide was all talking about it, all about in the Middle East.
Do you remember, since you're of that generation, they couldn't make up their goddamn minds what that group was called. It was ISIS, then it was ISIL, and then there was
It was ISIS or ISIL or
yeah.
Yep.
ISIS.
Yeah, they couldn't make up what it. They couldn't make a determination of what it was. They couldn't even get that right. But the point is those were monumental points in history, right? Those are being taught to children today. This is that kind of moment where they could say, well, your father or your grandfather grew up in an area where there was this thing called the Cold War, and the itchy blanket of communism was always a threat to the eastern part of Europe. And in 2022, a man named Volodymyr Zelensky, who is not very tall of stature, but he was big in terms of cojones, took the fight He was David, and he took out Goliath, the nuclear Goliath. And David was disarmed by Barack Obama back in 2014, and he still overcame the Soviet might of the world,
Mm-hmm.
and he killed the Cold War boogeyman. That is the size and scale of what could possibly happen geopolitically this year if we put our backing behind the guy who can make it happen.
What was I gonna say, Sean? Oh, shoot. Oh yeah. Basically, Putin was actually announcing, I believe it was yesterday or today,
Hmm.
that they actually are anti-Russifying their country and actually doing it from within. And he said, "Yet we failed."
That's such bullshit. He is creating his Stasi again. You got to remember, he was KGB. His
Yep.
only assignment was East Germany. He created the Stasi.
Yeah,
He
well,
ran it.
he didn't create the
He
Stasi.
ran it.
He was the KGB oversight.
Yeah. He basically ran it and made sure that it was still the way it was. And now he's trying to say we're taking that away from Russia? No, you're not. There are
No, you're not.
17,000 people who vanished in Moscow and St. Petersburg in the first 4 weeks of this conflict because you hauled them off with Oman and Sober units of your own
Uh-huh.
military and police. Like,
Mhm.
don't tell me you're getting rid of that. You created that. You keep it perpetuating. And the people aren't going to deal with it anymore. If they had a Second Amendment, you wouldn't be alive today. I'm certain of it. But because
Especially
you
in
have
that type of
disarmed that
country.
nation, well, Russia's disarmed. A couple of farmers have shotguns.
Yes and no. They're not as armed like the military, but yeah, I get what you're coming from.
The proletariat does not have firearms. A couple of farmers have
last time I
shotguns.
checked in their country, some people do have arms.
Yeah, but in the totality of the population, it's like it's set up similar to the way that UK's gun control works. Very stifling.
Mhm.
Like you're not going to get a January 6th in Russia ever. Anyway,
Not if you're with the Russian mafia, maybe. I don't know.
yeah, but he made them too, and he could take them away. He's like, I created you, I can destroy you. Bill Cosby, I brought you into this world, I can take you out. Anyway, after he pudding pops you a few times because he's sick.
No, it's all about his secret barbecue sauce.
Oh, that's right. I got this barbecue sauce, and people just they start eating it, and then all of a sudden they all got to go home early. Yeah. Anyway,
Watch
moving
Hot
on.
and barbecue sauce.
Now, I have a story that's sort of off the beaten path in terms of Ukraine, but I think long term it does have implications. And when I read this out, you'll understand why I chose this story. And also, I got a note. When you see this photo, you're probably going to look at it and go, it's got to be love because it's definitely not based on looks. Yeah, I'm probably going to get banned for YouTube for this one. Anyway, here's the photo.
Good job, John. Good job.
I look at this woman, I just think, it looking like a man. Anyway, 9:49 a.m., Paris. French President Emmanuel Macron successfully fended off a challenge from Marine Le Pen on Sunday, winning France's first presidential re-election in 20 years. Now, let me repeat that. He won the first presidential re-election in 20 years. They're so shitty at picking leaders that they never got re-elected in 20 years. Like, get your shit together, France. The ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine served as a focal point in their campaigns as Macron pushed for international cooperation and a NATO-driven strategy to quell violence between the countries. Conversely, Le Pen campaigned on separating France from its international duties, advocating for moving away from the EU and NATO. The challenger suggested a more neutral approach to dealing with Russia's aggression and refocusing on the French people.
And
Marine Le Pen committed political suicide.
because it sounded like she was trying to bring back de Gaullism to France.
We talked about this earlier in the lobby. See, there's a time to be isolationist, and that is during a time of peace. When the world is not in strife, you can stop and tell all your allies, hey, listen, we know we're part of this party, but we're going to have to step away for a little while because everyone's cool, and we need to focus on us because we have committed resources to a group that has no war to fight. And those resources will be better spent on our own country to take care of our own problems so we can enrich ourselves to become even stronger as an ally should the world need us, right? That's a very good stance to take. Donald J. Trump took that stance during a moment of peace. He was like, listen, y'all aren't paying your fair share, and there's nothing really going on in the world, and we need to focus on us. So
Well, we're still in Afghanistan, though.
We're going to pull away. That was a NATO thing. We're going to pull away, and we're going to focus on us for a bit. And when he did that, we became energy independent, didn't we?
Yeah, I'd like to know what that
yes
feels
and
like.
no.
No, we were a net exporter. Now, there was some tariff wars with China, and okay, that kind of hurt my industry a little. But
That shit's been needing to be done for decades.
we persevered. See, the fact of the matter is we created the monster of China, the world, collectively. We were so desperate for cheap labor that we overlooked a lot of things. Chinese, human rights and whatnot. What's
China.
going on with the weak China? Anyway, the point is, we created it, and then Donald J. Trump decided, I'm not gonna let this go on. No, screw that. Pay your fair share. Get out the way. I got a country to run. Go fuck yourself, to quote Never Enough Ammo. And it worked. He didn't make friends. He made stability.
He appeased them in a position where he wasn't making friends with them. He just told them, like, all right, we'll do our thing. You do your thing.
Exactly, because they didn't need us at the time anyway. He looked at the Paris Climate Accord and go, why am I going to commit to something that nobody else in the world abides by? Why am I going to set emission standards that stifle the production of my country while China does whatever the fuck they want and their smog clouds cross the ocean into my cities? Why is that fair? Why do I host NATO and the UN in my country, and then when something actually kicks off and I send 50,000 of my troops to die, Italy sends 10? Why is that? Right? Shit like that.
Now, let me ask you this: Why is NATO bad? Is it because it's right next to the Russian border?
No, NATO's bad because it's poorly managed. That's all it is. The idea of a...
The only reason I ask this is because if it wasn't for NATO,
Yeah.
you think there might have been a different story if Russia could have actually gone in and taken the rest of those nations of Europe?
That depends. You see, because
Right.
you've got two things to deal with. You've got NATO to deal with, and you've got the UN, and you've got the EU. So you actually got three things to deal with. But what they're all trying to do...
standing army itself.
Well, what these three organizations are trying to do is they're all trying to jockey for position and favoritism to create the one world government, if you think about it. Now, in theory, one world government's not a bad idea. In practice, it's terrible because it's not enforced properly. But like if you think about like Star Trek, right? The United Federation of Planets, right? We are never getting off of this rock in any meaningful capacity because we're too busy fighting amongst ourselves over things as stupid as where your genital is supposed to go or what color your skin is. Like, if we can't get over something so elementally basic and stupid, we're doomed. But there's all these little groups, the EU, the NATO, the UN, They're all attempts to try to unify the world, but they're horribly managed by idiots because they don't see past their nose to see the bigger picture. They say they do, but they don't really. Because look at Ukraine, okay? They wanted to join NATO back in 2014. And what did we do? We poison pilled them. We said, okay, well, you can join NATO, sure, but you have to disarm your nuclear arsenal. You have to give up your trump card. Despite the fact that the Russians have made their intentions very clear that they're going to punish you and take you over. And the only reason they hadn't done so beforehand was because you have nukes. They even made a Die Hard movie about the nukes in Ukraine. Do you remember that? It had Jai Courtney in it. A lot of people
Yeah.
didn't like it. But the fact of the matter
Or-
is we took Barack Obama and his administration took away Ukraine's only unquestionable defense against Soviet aggression. And they complied out of good faith because they thought they would join NATO and they would be under the protections of NATO. And look where they are today. They're not
I don't see
protected,
no
are they?
protection.
They're not. I don't see no fucking protection. I see a bunch of helmets
And night vision.
and night vision, couple
No,
of
it's
sling
better than the
blades.
blue helmet.
Yeah, I know. But the fact of the matter is if we didn't disarm them, if we didn't put that stipulation, we might not be in this position right now. Russia wouldn't walk into Ukraine knowing that Ukraine had nuclear-tipped ballistic missiles that could have hit Moscow. But when we disarmed them, we literally did Russia a solid. Like, how is Barack Obama not being brought up on charges of global undermining of a nation's sovereignty that led to the genocide of its people? Think about that. This isn't me drunk talking. I'm putting it all together. One dopey-eared, Dumbo-eared dipshit disarmed the Ukraine, and now the Russians had free reign of
It
invading
wasn't Obama. It was 94, not 2014.
No, Obama told him to disarm his nuclear arsenal in 2014 for consideration to join NATO.
No,
That
I'm
was a
sure it's part of
stipulation.
the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty.
Well, either way, why would you give up the only thing that's protecting you from a much larger country with a much
Especially right next to your
larger
border.
arsenal that's banging on your border constantly? I mean, that would literally be like us announcing tomorrow, hey, Mexico, we're tearing down the entire wall.
Oh, hell no, we're not.
Bring the fentanyl right over. Here, we'll even build you an expressway. That's literally what we did to
Cartels will
Ukraine.
fund it.
No, cartels would be running for president of this country. They'd be like, hey, thanks, bro. Anyway, let's move on. I'm sure you guys are sick of seeing Macron and his bulldog-faced wife. Jesus Christ, you could have done so much better than that. Are you fucking kidding me? Anyway, I actually named a French actress the other day that makes my blood boil. Holy crap, she's stunning. Why didn't he have her? Anyway. I don't know all things French, but I'd like to know her. Anyway, moving on. I forgot her name, otherwise I'd have told you. She has a very interesting name because it's part Greek. Let's see. Sorry for the rant. 4 hours later. And it is now 10 minutes to 8 Eastern Time, Washington, D.C. And I'm going to show you this picture. And for some reason, I'll explain in a minute, but there's her picture. President Biden on Monday has nominated Bridget Brink, the current U.S. ambassador to Slovakia, to be the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. So now she's doing two countries. State Department...
Giggity.
Yeah. State Department spokesman Ned Price said earlier Monday that Brink's decades of experience make her uniquely suited for this moment in Ukraine's history. Prior to Monday's nomination, Brink previously served as senior advisor and deputy assistant secretary in the Bureau of European and Eurasian Affairs and as the deputy chief of mission at the U.S. embassies in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, and Tbilisi, Georgia.
Okay.
During her more than
Interesting.
20 years in foreign service, Ambassador Brink has spent most of her career focusing on advancing U.S. policy in Europe and Eurasia, adds her biography on the U.S. Embassy in Slovakia's website. Brink, who is from Michigan, my dad's state, started working in the State Department in 1996 and can speak fluent Russian and Serbian, as well as basic Georgian and French. So, yeah, I think she's ultimately qualified for the job. Strangely enough, though, I see this picture, and for some stupid reason, I'm trying to remember the movie now. Fifth Element. Do you remember the scene in Fifth Element where the general came to Bruce Willis's apartment and he brought this woman who had like these Princess Leia things on the sides of her head? She was like this.
Was it Colonel Olga or something like that?
Yeah, she was like a
Major
slightly
Olga or something.
oversized, like
You
East
can say it. She
German
was built like a
librarian.
brick shit house.
Yes, she was. Like the girl,
Yeah.
she was a sturdy girl, right?
Yes.
I see Bridget Brink and I see that woman's face, and I hear the general going, "What's the matter? She's a woman, isn't she? She's fully equipped for the job." And it's like, I am not scrubbing those pipes. No. Nope. I'm going to shove her in that freeze dry machine just like he did and walk out. While smoking that cigarette that's only got enough tobacco for one drag. Yeah.
Yeah.
To quit is my goal. Yeah. That cigarette.
Remember, he was poor. He was poor.
I guess. Oh yeah, that's right.
Sure,
That's right. It's
sure.
like the
He got
prophets.
fired.
The prophets say, "Good. You can't have bad news all the time." Let me see. I bet you lunch. You're fired.
Well, at least I won lunch.
He's like, at least I won.
I
Oh.
like your
Oh,
philosophy. See
you
good
see
and
the
bad.
good and the bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a great movie.
I'm glad we're all on the same page on that one.
Yeah.
All right. So next story, a little over an hour later, and I'm going to keep you in Washington D.C. So it's about 9 a.m. Eastern time. And I'm going to show you this picture right here, which should look familiar to a lot of you folks, especially if you go to like Academy or Bass Pro or just about any other retailer that used to sell ammo, Walmart. Yeah. The U.S. State Department supports the approval of, this is your story, Mike, supports the approval of a possible sale of $165 million worth of ammunition to Ukraine, it stood in a statement. The Ukrainian government has asked to buy various rounds of so-called non-standard ammunition, which are those that do not adhere to NATO standards. Be prepared for all the domestic ammunition manufacturers to use
go
this
away.
bullshit as the next excuse of why there's fucking ammo shortages and why you still have to pay $150 fucking dollars for a brick of 1,000 primers that used to cost you $35. I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter.
John, I think we should talk about that other article that I mentioned that played into this.
Eh,
We should probably mention it.
eh,
Also, you do kind of sound bitter.
I'm not
You
bitter.
do sound bitter. Lots,
No.
really bitter.
Look, I'm just
He's not bitter. He's frustrated.
I'm just gritting my new tooth.
Don't
the point
put it
is,
too hard. You might lose it.
the point is, ammo manufacturers are going to come up with any and every excuse under the sun to tell you why there's a shortage and why prices are as high as they are, and then they're going to turn around in the same fucking breath and tell you why they will not start a new facility or a new line to produce more ammunition because they think that this demand is temporary. Let me inform you of something. In 2020, 2 years ago, there was a statistic that showed that there were 1 million new gun owners in the United States in 2020. 1 million. Now bear in mind, if you count all the illegals, this country has 366 million people. 1 million doesn't sound like much, but let me put this into perspective for you. 1 million new gun owners is 1 million new nightstand gun owners. They bought a gun similar to why most of us are buying polymer 80 kits right now. They bought it before they can't. They saw the writing on the wall and said, oh shit, maybe I better get something for myself because I don't trust my neighbor. Okay? There's a lot of those people going on right now. They buy, let's say they buy a Smith & Wesson EZ 9mm shield. Now, I have the EZ 380. My mentor bought the 9. They're very good handguns. I have nothing bad to say about them. I love my 380 one. It's very nice. But for the first-time gun owner who bought it,
Excuse me.
who bought it because they decided that they were they have to have one because they don't trust their neighbor or whatever stupid liberal reason they have. They bought one, and like most typical first-time gun owners, they thought, well, give me 2 boxes of that ammo too, right? So it's a 9mm pistol with 2 boxes of ball ammo. We haven't even touched self-defense ammo. Ball ammo. 50-round boxes. 1 million gun owners bought 2 boxes of 9mm per gun. That means 100 million rounds of 9mm wiped off the map by 1 million new gun owners, only buying 2 boxes. They took their gun, they went to the range, they shot 1 box of that 9mm and said, okay, cool, now I know what it's capable of. Loaded the mags from the second box, so they have a couple left over, stuck the gun in their nightstand and went to bed, haven't touched it since.
Yep.
100 million rounds of 9mm in one shot. That's why there's an ammo shortage of 9mm. Or that's why there's 9mm. But once upon a time, you used to be able to go to Walmart, pick up a 500 round box of Winchester White Box 9mm for $89. What does it sell for today? $259. Why?
Because
they
the American
say
dollar has lost half its value. Even
not
more.
in 3 fucking years. No. Don't give them that excuse. That's bullshit. No. What they did was they sold the 2 boxes of ammo to 1 million users, and then all of a sudden, the rest of us decided, hey, I need more range ammo. And now it's not here. And then when it trickled in, like an asthmatic breathing through a fucking coffee stirrer, there was a bid war. And people started paying stupid amounts of money on Gunbroker. And then the manufacturers and the retailers said, hey, like it still only costs us $6 to make a box of 50, but now these idiots are paying $49 for it. So then they
Sell
turn
to them
around.
directly.
So they turn around and they just let it happen. And then
Well, they said let's sell directly to them for that price.
fast forward 3 years, post-COVID, and now they're turning around and they're going to say stupid shit like, well, people are willing to pay that price, so why would we lower it back down? Now, here's one thing they forgot. 1 million new gun owners, let's say 50% of them took a liking to their range trip. They shot that box of ammo. They shot the second box of ammo. They're out of ammo. They went back to Walmart, and they bought 10 boxes because they found out that they liked this shooting thing. It's not as dangerous and scary as the media told them it was, and now they feel empowered because now they have a master of arms of the gun that they purchased, and now they like it. And now they found us on YouTube, and they go, hey, there's a lot of other guys that like it. And you know what? They're not the lunatics. They're not those people that we were led to believe were psychos on January 6th. They're just like us. There's a guy over there, he does videos of the Nacho Fry Challenge and working on his car. And he plays video games. And he hosts a show called The War Room. And he seems pretty normal. And I'm just like that guy. There's those people. And now they want more ammo. The manufacturers are not making any more because they said this is a temporary glut of demand.
Bullshit.
Because after 2020, there was another 1 million or 1.5 million new gun owners.
You
Because
know what it is?
every state that started adopting constitutional carry Now we have 25 states, half the country. And those people are empowered. And those people are buying their first gun, or their second, or their third, or maybe one for their wife. Temporary glut? Bullshit. No. This is a revolution. This is America finally growing a pair of fucking balls and saying, my self-preservation is my own responsibility to protect me, my family, my children, whatever. I'm not the monster. No. Market shortages are the monster. The media demonizing my desire to protect what's mine is the monster. And the manufacturers are complacent with saying it's a temporary glut. We're not going to spin up a new facility. Why? Do you not like money? Do you not like profit? Do you not like the fact that the message of spreading freedom and liberty to keep and bear arms, even though it's making you more money? Like, do you like the fact that you're stifling your own industry by choking the supply? Who the fuck gives
Now-
you that unilateral authority?
Not when you're taking advantage of people. No.
Well, what's worse is they like Spear, right? CCI. Okay? CCI owns Spear. Spear makes gold dot ammo. I like gold dot ammo, right? I like Spear bullets. I love them. I load them. Because of the glut of new gun owners who have to buy self-defense ammo, rather than selling me CCI small pistol primers, they had to use those to make more factory-loaded gold dots. That part I cannot deny. Demand was high. We have less components to sell because we had to make the loaded ammo for all those who come into the store who just buy loaded ammo and don't reload. Okay, that's a fair argument. But that should show you, hey, if we had to do that, we should probably make more components. Because now the reloaders are left high and dry, and we need to make more shit for them. No, we don't want to
No.
do that. Because we found out that the market is willing to pay $50 for a box. Profit over
Bullshit.
profit over principle. That's what it boils down to. I used to be able to make 50 rounds of 9mm for $5.
And you know what? I just hate.
I'm sure I still can, but me finding powder is becoming... Well, actually, powder's not so bad. Primers is still the hard part for me.
Yep.
What I've been saying
For everybody.
Well, what I've been saying for months is I truly think that Washington realizes they can't stop people buying guns. They can't. They can't get gun control where they want it. So instead, they took away the smallest, easiestly storable thing, which is the most important part of the whole equation, and created a shortage with a complacent industry. They took away primers. A box of primers is the same physical size as a 50-round box of 9mm, but a box of primers is 1,000. And it does not take much to make your own ammo. Brass is cheap, bullets are cheap. Primers are very cheap. Powder, not that expensive. The tooling to make your own ammo these days is half what I started with. I started with a Lee lock and load breech lock kit. I paid $250 for it. You can get that same kit right now for half that. You can start reloading 9mm for less than $200. And you could make 50 rounds of ammo for $5 if you shop around. But they took away the smallest but most important part of that whole equation, primers. They could buy up all the primers and fill up one warehouse. Whereas if they wanted to stop that much ammo from being expended, they would have to have 1,000 warehouses to store the guns they would have taken off the market. You see what I'm saying? That's the real gun control. They starved your gun of what it needs to eat. Just like they stole your gas in your car. Because the day before the election in 2019, I paid $1.17 per gallon for 93 octane. Now I'm paying $4.59. nothing changed except the idiot in charge. Think about that. They controlled you by pricing you out of the market. Aren't they supposed to be the government who's supposed to tell us that they're going to protect us from bullshit like this? And yet they turn around and they created it?
Newsflash.
No, I know.
in
I'm
America,
speaking in hyperbole.
I know that, but newsflash. Our job is actually to keep our own government in check as well as others around us.
And yet we're not doing it. Anyway, moving on, because I think I've got a couple of stories left, and I want to get through this because we're already 75 minutes in. Great. I'm trying to get you out
What
of
were you
here
saying
in an
about
hour.
getting us out in under an hour?
Well, let's try to get you out in 90 minutes. I'm going to try to go through these quickly. So here's the photo, which is actually a really nice picture. 10:52 a.m. my time. I've got a girl's fingers in my mouth, and I'm totally cool with it at the time today. Even though she's not my girlfriend. It's the other assistant. But she's married, and she's got dark hair, and she's hot. Anyway,
How you pick your dentist off by if they have hot attention?
that was complete
Yeah.
coincidence. The first day I went in there was April Fool's Day, and I thought the joke was on me. I walked away with a girlfriend, so I'm like, not bad. Anyway, Ukrainian authorities on Monday are reporting numerous attacks on rail stations in central and western Ukraine following a high-profile meeting between Antony Blinken, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv. The Biden administration officials traveled in and out of Kyiv by train. Ukrainian Railways Chief Alexander Kamyshin said in a Telegram post that 5 stations were hit within an hour. Gee, it's almost like the Russians were targeting our Secretary of Defense. Russian troops continue to systematically destroy railway infrastructure, he added. There are victims. We are finding out the details. Lviv region governor Maxim Kozitsky said that a Russian missile hit a railway facility in Krasny, which is about 25 miles east of Lviv, early Monday, sparking a fire. Ukrainian authorities also said that at least 5 people had been killed and 18 were wounded by Russian strikes in the central Vinnytsia region, in the towns of Zhemerinka and Kozyatin. Sorry, I was reading that Cyrillic in real time. Vinnytsia Regional Governor Serhiy Borzov said earlier that the Russian missiles targeted critical infrastructure but didn't elaborate further. So, Russia doing Russian things decided that they're attacking in the east hard and heavy, and all the reinforcements are coming by rail from the west to the east. So they started attacking the rails. Smart, logistically speaking. Dangerous. Could you imagine? Russian missile kills Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin today.
That's technically Article 5 right there.
Wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
Are you
The
sure?
B-2s would be on their way to Moscow.
Well, here's the question. Are you sure? Article 5 states you attack a NATO nation. They attacked a Ukrainian nation with us putting ourselves in harm's way. That's collateral damage.
Hold up. Diplomats, whether they're in another country, going and conversing with another country's leaders, diplomats are part of the United States government.
Yes, but they're not part of United States soil. Embassies are, yes. You could make that argument. I would agree with you. But the individual,
hold on.
That's you take your own destiny at your own risk.
Hold on. Attacking a delegation,
They didn't do that deliberately. They attacked a train.
No, they attack a train. But if the diplomatic delegation dies, that they're an extension of the government. Therefore,
they're not soil.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be soil.
No, it does matter. You see, the thing
you
is,
just
the
killed
train.
The Secretary of Defense. And
you killed the Secretary of Defense. You killed a sitting member of the presidential cabinet.
Yes,
okay,
yeah. But you
declared war on the government of the United States of America by. Yes.
No. Think about this. Secretary of Defense boarded a train that flies the Ukrainian colors in the Ukrainian territory. You took that risk by putting yourself in the enemy's train that was a potential target by that enemy. You see what I'm
Okay,
saying?
Sean.
They didn't know who was
Sean,
on there. They didn't have the
Sean.
manifest of who was riding that train.
Sean, how many Americans do you think would buy that bullshit right now? With all the hate that's on Russia, with all the support with Ukraine, how many Americans do you think would listen and believe that bullshit that you're just spouting?
It's not bullshit. The fact of the matter
No,
is the ICC
they-
would look at that and say, "Sorry, you took that in. That was a risk you took."
The American people wouldn't let that stand because that's
They-
saying you can send a member of the city cabinet anywhere in the world and they can get killed, and when America would do nothing.
The same
That
thing
would not
happened
look
with
good.
the Lusitania.
The
And we didn't do
Lusitanians what
anything.
got us into World War One.
No, we sort of made ourselves get involved in that. But the fact of the matter is American people, not very many, mind you, were aboard.
Like 100 or so.
They were aboard a ship that was flying another nation's colors in that nation's waters and was attacked by a belligerent nation. Nobody knew the shipping manifest. That was just a consequence of that disaster. But like the Germans didn't know who was on that. They just saw that juicy target and hit it, right? The same thing could be said about that. If it was an Amtrak train in Washington D.C., completely different story. But if you willingly board another nation's train in their country, the enemy doesn't know you're there. They see a target, they hit the target. You can feign ignorance and say, "Oh, well, you killed one of our representatives," and the Russians would respond.
That's where you're wrong.
No,
right now.
you have to look at it from
no,
the criminal
no,
court.
no, no.
You have to look at it from the ICC's
You're going to tell me the
perspective.
FSB and the group that succeeded,
Yeah.
succeeded the KGB does not know that U.S. officials are there under a diplomatic mission.
They didn't
I
know
call
what
bullshit on
train
that.
they were boarding. They don't know where that
That's why
train
they
was headed
hit
and who
5
was
different
on it.
stations.
They didn't know who was on it. This is all hypothetical, though. But the point
I
is
call bullshit on
they
that.
can pull that and say, "Look, first of all, you took the risk going into a hostile nation. Like, you weren't even supposed to be there because you are violating." It's like the transverse to Article 5. It's like, look, if you don't want us to get involved, then you shouldn't get involved either. That's what they're saying. And
Yes,
they would
but
be right.
Congress isn't gonna sit for it. The presidency, he might sit for anything, really, honestly. But the American people wouldn't sit for it. Honestly, attacking a member of the cabinet is technically, and this is a technicality, declaring war on the government, the actual
It's
government of the
definitely an
United
act of
States.
war.
No.
It is an
How
act of
many
war.
people here in this country said we had no business being in Afghanistan?
Sean,
How many? Thousands,
I'm
millions.
in agreement with Night Strike because if this was vice versa, if we attacked a Russian member of the Russian Federation government,
Yes.
they would be an act of war.
They would declare war on us, and we would turn around and say, "Look, we didn't know he was on there."
Yeah, and they would say bullshit.
I know, but you have to take the emotion out of this. You have to take everything out of this and look at it from black and white, from like an ICC perspective, okay? International Criminal Court would look at this case and say, "Look, it was unfortunate that your guy died, but your guy took the risk to enter that nation which was under attack, and you boarded a train that was owned by that nation, and the manifest of who was riding that train is not public knowledge." They would look at that and say Russia was not in the wrong. They said they saw a target and they hit it. Now
Russia says they're not in the wrong. That's fine. They can say whatever the fuck they want.
the ICC would say that because the fact of the matter is the only thing the ICC would charge Russians with is attacking a
Take the
civilian
fucking
train.
ICC out of the equation.
No, you can't do that. That's how the ICC works. When you
Russians
start
don't give a
declaring
fuck.
war crimes, the ICC is who's involved. This is very simple. Like, you don't have to like it, but you have to realize that that's how it works.
You gotta think like your enemy, dude. They don't give a fuck.
ICC doesn't matter.
No,
Okay,
it
Sean,
does. Why do you
no,
think we did Nuremberg?
Sean, you're
This is
forgetting
2022, dude.
You're forgetting one very important thing. It's like monumental. You're not putting it in perspective, and this is why I'm telling you you're wrong.
Enlighten
You
me.
forget. Okay, you've heard it millions of times. It's because it's a violation of USC. It's in the U.S. code.
No, look.
No. It doesn't matter. It's in U.S. code.
No,
Don't make
you
me look it
don't
up.
understand what I'm saying. Okay, look. If if any nation attacked another nation, okay, I'm gonna take all of this out. I'm gonna put this in a very I'm gonna put this in a very isolated situation. Okay, let's say that France attacked Spain, their next door neighbors, right? Okay, France attacks Spain. France declares war on Spain. They were like, anything Spanish is an opportunity and a target of war. If you're a military target, we're going to attack it. Okay? And then France decides that the civilian trains in Spain are carrying munitions. And that's already a violation. Okay? Because it's not a military transport. You're Trojan horsing military hardware on civilian trains that should not be attacked. But if they can prove, hey, you guys are doing that, like the Lusitania, they would say, that has just become a compromised target. I can attack that now. Because you lied to the world saying that that was a civilian train, but it's not because you put munitions on it. And they attack it, okay? Now let's say the day that they decided to attack that train, a delegation from Iceland was on that train just as a passenger, right? They didn't know what was in the cargo parts. They were just on a train ride. And that train gets destroyed, and that Icelandic guy dies. Iceland has no legal claim or authority to declare war on France because, number one, that person from Iceland was on a Spanish train unbeknownst to the rest of the world, or unbeknownst to any other nation but Iceland, but he was on an enemy train because that is an enemy compared to the person attacking them, right? And his life is forfeit. He took the risk. It's like that guy willingly walked into a minefield, and if he blows up standing on it in the Mexican space program, they have no reason to declare war on us. That guy willingly went into enemy territory and died on his own. Okay? Regardless if he's a representative, I don't care if he's president of Mexico. He walked across the border and he stepped on the landmine and he died. Shit happens, right? We didn't know. We put the shit out there, but we didn't tell you to go in there. This guy jumped on a train. Nobody told him to go in there. If Blinken dies on a Ukrainian train in Ukrainian territory and he dies, that's like the opposite of Article 5. Okay? If Blinken was standing on the Polish border and Russian missiles hit Poland and kill Blinken, totally different story. That is absolutely an Article 5 violation because they hit a NATO country outside of the theater of war and an American died. You have total authority to declare war on that. But as soon as that guy walks into that theater of war and we're not a belligerent nation fighting that enemy, his life is forfeit. Because if he was captured as a prisoner of war, his life is forfeit. We can demand that you give him back to us, but they'll turn around and go, he wasn't supposed to be in there in the first place. You have no authority to tell us what to do with this guy. He put his own life in danger by walking into that country. Do you think, honestly, that the United States has a case for, say, what was that guy's name? Ben... what was that guy's name? It was a Fox journalist. His name was Ben something. He's the one that got injured because of that Russian attack. He lost like a leg and an eye and part of his arm. Benjamin Hall. Journalist Benjamin Hall. The United States has no claim on anything that happened to poor Benjamin Hall. He should be happy that he's still alive. Everybody in his entourage died. He survived. But we're not declaring war. We've lost journalists in Ukraine. We're not doing shit about that, are we? No. Because that's a risk they took.
Because Sean, journalists are expendable. Cabinet members are not.
Bullshit. Cabinet members have no
actually right about
business.
That. Actually, he's right.
No, you're both wrong. You're not supposed to be in that country unless you want to be involved. You can't tiptoe this line of saying we're here, but you can't attack us. No, motherfucker, you're in a conflict. If you die, your fault. You weren't supposed to be there. You're not Ukrainian. What are you standing in that territory?
That's
We're
what the
attacking
Russians will
Ukraine.
argue. Are you going to tell me that Congress is going to argue that?
Congress doesn't mean shit to the International Criminal Court. Don't you
And
get
the,
it?
and the
so does the
International
fucking
Criminal
Geneva
Court isn't
Convention.
going to be in this
The International Criminal
unless you're
Court
putting
brought
Putin
about
on.
the Nuremberg trials.
Yeah.
The International Criminal Courts brought about
Only
the
going to be
trial
used
against Saddam
trying-
It
Hussein.
won't
Just
be
because
an
you don't like it
international
doesn't
criminal
mean it's
court
true.
allowed.
going to be the United Nations because there's United Nations rules against this kind of thing.
The fact of the matter
fact
is
that-
you don't like it, but it doesn't change the fact that nothing would change. You just because you don't like it and just because I don't agree with it either, you're right. I don't like it. But say Blinken dies in Ukraine, right? We would be upset.
Okay, then what the fuck's
Absolutely.
gonna happen?
We would
We would be at
absolutely
war.
be upset. We wouldn't declare war on Russia because of Blinken. Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh bullshit! You think it's not gonna be like a
Assassinated
sum of all
fucking
fears
cabinet
incident?
member.
No,
There
this
would be
country has no stomach to go to war with Russia. Because if we did, this would have been over with already. Think about that.
John,
We have no
Just for one moment.
reason to fight for Ukraine.
All right.
Think about it.
Let me-
They have
let me ask
nothing
you
we
this.
want. Think
Let me ask you this.
objectively here. We went to Iran because of oil. We went to Afghanistan for 3.5 trillion tons of iron ore. There's nothing in Ukraine we want.
There's a very large, substantial lithium deposit.
Yeah, so does China. We have that there. So does Russia. Nobody cares.
Uh-huh.
Nobody cares. Don't you get it? There's nothing there we want in bulk. 3.5 trillion tons of iron ore. That is an unfathomable amount of iron that came out of Afghanistan. We split it up with the British. We did it because we were trying to save a steel industry that was getting decimated by cheap Chinese steel. Did it work? Nope. But we did it anyway. Do you think a
All right,
couple of
move on,
thousand
move
tons
on.
of fucking lithium matter? No.
Move on.
Move on. Fact of the matter is, it's fucked. All right. Let me catch up on the chat, actually. Gabriel saw the movie quotes we had. He likes them too. Those are the Fifth Element ones, Mike. He says, I still think we should have left an interior airbase inside Afghanistan 10 miles by 10 miles in case of future problems. That would be great if you had a commander-in-chief that actually knew what the hell he was doing.
Mm-hmm. He does.
No, he doesn't.
he's a
and
Manchurian candidate for all we know.
Yeah, a 10 by 10 military or 10 by 10 mile air base in Iraq wouldn't have been a bad idea either, right next to Iran, though I don't think we should have been there in the first place. Right, because, oil.
The only problem with that is our modern artillery has a range of about 25 miles.
Yeah. Terry Scherer brings up the same thing that you and me and Scott and everyone else talked about before we went on air. Federal government bringing in idle munitions plants back online, like the one in Oklahoma and the one in Kentucky. Supposedly what they're going to do is they're going to spin up production of non-NATO calibers of ammunition. So I think one thing that we talked about earlier was, and I could be wrong, but I have a funny feeling, actually he continued, well, they do need a new line for the new 6.8.
Mm-hmm.
See, so you're thinking this, Gabriel's thinking the same way that I was thinking earlier. I think we're going to use Ukraine to beta test the new 6.8 caliber for us. Because we're going to start spinning up all this new production, right? For those of you who don't know, so the new military production for M4s and M249 saws will only be produced in the new caliber. We're not getting rid of the 5.56 ones we have now. Far
We're
from
just
it.
adding.
We're
adding.
just saying all new production will only be done in the new caliber. So they'll continue to maintain the 5.56 and the 7.62 caliber inventory we have for as long as they want, but
We're
only
talking
new
6.5 or more?
production. No, the new 6.8 is it SPC, right?
I don't know if it's
6.8 SPC?
SPC or they're calling it something else.
I think it's 6.8 SPC. Either way, point is,
Huh.
all new production is going to be done in that caliber. All the old ones will stay in inventory until they decide to surplus them out.
I think it's
So-
like 277 Fury or
That's
6.8.
that's the civilian version name, yes.
6.8 by 51.
Yes.
Is what it is.
Exactly. So it's a 308 cartridge down to 6.8.
Wow.
What's really funny about that, and I think we talked about this a few days ago, is the original design of the cartridge. There's 3 designs, and the most appealing one that we could all sort of agree on was the one that had the steel rim base with a polymer casing to keep the loadout very light. Now, that's not going to help us as reloaders, but in terms of usable one and done inventory for the military, because, I'm pretty sure they're not hanging on to empty mags. They drop them and keep advancing, right? So in terms of like casings, the polymer cased 6.8 made the most sense for lightweight, cost, and whatever. But then they turned around and they decided, no, we're going to use a brass case with a locking washer and a steel base, because this thing churns out 98,000 psi pressure in the chamber. That is a hot round. Patrick and I talked about this a few days ago. You want to talk about a fucking barrel burner? 98,000 psi at the chamber. Think what the fucking velocity that's going to be. I mean, you're going to erode chamber throats in like 3,000 rounds or less. Gone.
Which is why it's never going to really be adopted.
No, it's already adopted. It's done. This is a done deal. It's just shocking to me.
We shall see.
I don't know if the metallurgy got better or if the disposability is an acceptable thing, but the plastic case thing made sense to me and most of you because it was like, oh, one and done, gone. But when
Well, it's
Patrick,
also, you can carry an extra 10 or 20% of ammo
yes,
for the same
for
weight.
that same weight, exactly. But the thing is Patrick was saying that they had decided on that bimetal case with the lock washer, and I'm like, why? And when he told me what the standard pressure of that round is, it blew my mind. I'm like, no fucking way. 98,000 psi. It's like the hottest round we've ever created for military use. Are you kidding me?
Last time I checked, the hottest round we've actually encountered for a handgun was Tokarev?
454 Kasul puts
No.
out 65,000 psi.
Oh, this is a Kasul. Yeah, that's different.
I thought that was the hottest one until this came out. 98,000.
The 6.8 by 51. It's not the SPC. It's a different one. It's 277 Fury.
That's
honestly.
the
That's
civilian name.
commercial.
As a civilian name
It's
for
the
it,
same round.
but it's the same round. But the 6.8 by 51
Yeah.
is honestly they're going to use it for the XM5 and the XM 250. So basically, the upgraded they're you basically using
Upgraded M4 and upgraded 249 saw.
upgraded M4, but the M4s they're using they're going to use Sig piston driven M4s.
Yes. That just got recently approved, didn't it? Like I think
Yes.
Friday.
Yeah, I've got an article here over here about it, but
Mhm.
but it's interesting that they're going to update the M4s to be piston driven.
Yep.
Piston driven.
I would be very shocked if they do that.
No, it's already
Why is
done.
that?
They approved it Friday, I think. It was
They've
the
even
SIG
done
won
it
the
before
contract,
that.
which
They've
makes
even done
Yeah,
sense.
they won the contract.
It makes sense
They-
because
they
they
did the
took the
contract.
pistol, so they might as well take the rifle
Yeah.
too.
So
Let's see them implement that contract.
Look,
They've tried doing it numerous times and it's always failed.
at the end of the day, I still
that's
just
true.
want an MP7 and fuck all the rest.
It might as well have been a Navy SEAL then.
Well, that's about the
Yeah.
only people that are probably
See?
going to be getting these fucking new SIG guns.
Even Pink mentions
Special
this.
operations guys.
Iraq veteran, and you remember Barry? They used to
Yep.
do crazy hand loads. They loaded them up to 90,000 psi, and they were scared shitless to fire them. Now we're going to make it standard issue. Oh, don't worry. If you lose an eye, it's
No.
fine.
the
Fine.
277 is 80,000 psi, but tip for tat.
Download it. Right. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just sort of like the 223 and 556. It's like, oh, the 556 is loaded hotter. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, not 15,000 PSI hotter.
Yeah, that's what's kind of weird, right? Like, They said 98,000. I'm thinking maybe as a max, but I don't think they're actually going to load it that hot. Even if they do, though, holy shit.
No.
Interesting thing to note of those ammunition plants they're bringing back online. Some of them haven't been online since World War II.
43. The one
Yeah.
in
They're gonna have to.
Oklahoma,
They're gonna have to
1943.
completely gut them and start over.
Well, they were saying that, like, the one in Oklahoma, like, they've got to burn all the shrubbery around the building because it's grown over.
Yeah.
But it's still cheaper than building a whole new one. It's like,
Right.
okay.
Well, the building itself is still designed for producing ammunition.
Yeah.
There's very specific things that have to be done. You know,
Well, the first
the
thing
way
they're
the
going to have
building
to
is
do,
designed.
I've seen the documentary, right? It's called National Treasure Book of Secrets. This is a joke, by the way. First thing they're going to have to do is they're going to have to open up the left eye of George Washington and Mount Rushmore and go into that vault and take out the 4 billion, maybe 4 trillion primers they've been stocking up there because they're obviously going to need them.
Yeah.
That's a joke. I wasn't
I think one of those plants is going to be just for primers.
Well, supposedly there's a company in Dallas, I think. They're going to be online
Fort Worth.
next year. Yeah, by next year they should be online. They took out, I think,
You know,
$10
this is a
billion
crazy- this-
initial layout, and all they're doing is primers. They're not making ammo, just primers.
This is a crazy thought. What if we got primers from frickin' Turkey?
Why?
I thought they just used Tula primers.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
The Turks have actually been helping out the Ukrainians. Why not? We just make fucking deals with the Turks.
Well, the best part is if that's the case and they're using Tula primers, they're actually using Russian primers to kill Russians.
I agree with M. Gabriel on this.
That-
Okay, on those ammunition plants, those World War II ammunition plants.
Slap some Flex Seal on the
Flex
roof.
Seal on the roof, and it's ready to go.
Hell yeah. All right, let me get to the last couple of stories because apparently we're going 2 fucking hours. God damn
Yeah,
it.
sorry about that.
And yeah, if you're that person that my mentor said to listen in, and he warned you that I had profanity, sorry. It's
too late. Cat's out of
it's
the
just
bag.
what I
anyways.
am. Anyway, let's see. Moving on. Oh yeah, I've got this really pretty picture here. You're gonna love this.
Oh boy.
I think I'm gonna hop off.
There you go. All right, so
Right.
that photo is one of the most beautiful things I've seen in a long time. Number one, because of the skyline. I think it's salmon pink and gray. Looks fantastic. Number two, because of what's burning. Love it. Dramatic images. This is 6:36 p.m. Ukraine when that photo was taken. Dramatic images are emerging Monday evening of a massive fire that had broken out at an oil depot in Russia, 60 miles in from the Ukrainian border. Oh, doesn't that just tickle you in all the right places? The cause of the blaze in Bryansk is unclear, but it comes after Russia last month accused 2 Ukrainian helicopters of striking a similar facility in Belgorod, Russia, southeast of Monday's. Well, that. Photos being posted online of the Bryansk fire show thick plumes of black smoke rising into the atmosphere, visible from miles away. Greta Thunberg was unavailable for comment. Yeah, so the Ukrainians, for the second time in, 2 weeks? A month? 2 attacks, 2 Russian oil depots. A mobile infantry cannot run on hopes and dreams. They need oil and they need gasoline. And it all went up in smoke. Do you think they're going to be held to the same account of the Paris Climate Accords for burning all that? No. So why do we follow that? I don't know, because we're stupid.
Do you think the Chinese are going to follow it?
Fuck no. No, because Xi Jinping already said they would consider that in 2050, long after all their manufacturing and military goals have been achieved. They don't care. They don't care. See,
why should we?
Exactly. Like this whole climate change global thing or whatever, it's like law or it's like religion.
You're not going to see the effects in our lifetime.
No, I mean, it's like law and religion. It only works if you believe in it and follow it. But if somebody doesn't follow it, the whole thing is meaningless. So why bother? Anyway, I love that picture. It became my new desktop background for a while. Mainly because of the colors, but still. Knowing what's burning, knowing that there's a bunch of Russians in there roasting away like chestnuts on an open fire, it kind of just warms the cockles of your heart, doesn't it?
No.
I'm never getting Zenitco shit again. Like, they're going to look at me and go, you're that prick that talked all that shit about us. Like, no, just your military, okay? The rest of you are fine. Anyway. Let's see. Pink says that he's always wondered why Ukraine hasn't launched an attack on Moscow. Give it time. That's all I can tell you. Give it time. I maintain that if the Russians are pushed out of Ukraine, the war is only half over. Somebody still has to go into Moscow and get that sawed-off, bald-headed little shit out of there. Put him on the end of the rope on national TV so Al Jazeera can post it to the world. And whoever films it will win a Pulitzer Prize.
Well, either Al Jazeera will film it to the world, or RT will start back up.
Somebody will. Maybe Babylon Bee will become a legitimate news source and post it saying, this is not satire, we just had to show you. And then Drew Curtis's FARC will be like, caption this photo. Look, it's a Russian marionette without the string cut. Anyway.
Well, the joke is I hear the Babylon Bee is getting unbanned from Twitter.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of people are. Oh, maybe we should bring that up. So, at about
including a certain Cheeto.
At about 3:45 p.m. Central Time, it became official that Elon Musk, at the cost of $44 billion, it was $52.70, I think, a share, he officially solely owns Twitter. One man. And I was listening to...
he's got a group of investors.
Yeah, but it's still his name. And he did corporate loans, so it's not really... He didn't sell stock. He took corporate loans. So it's still just him. But at the end of the day, I was watching Dana Perino, who's on Fox News. She does The Five. And she was saying, man, it must be so nice to be rich enough, to be annoyed by something enough to buy it, to just fix it on a whim. And I thought, that man is truly brilliant. He has won the battle of the Blofelds, hasn't he? He's the Blofeld that we all need. But right after the announcement was made, former President Donald J. Trump announced, no, I will not be returning to Twitter because he owns Truth Social. And I believe that is the biggest business mistake he's made in the last 10 years. Because if you look at Elon Musk, the man is a genius. He is the financial version of Albert Einstein in our generation. And I'll tell you why. Because he sees the wood for the trees. He didn't buy Twitter to own Twitter. Nobody cares about Twitter. There's a reason why people continue to use YouTube, despite the fact that we're constantly demonetized and banned. We don't give a shit about YouTube. He didn't give a shit about Twitter. He bought the audience. He bought the users of Twitter. He bought their eyeballs. See, Parler and Truth Social taught Elon Musk to do what he wants to do, he can't start from scratch. Because you would have to convince people to leave the thing that they're already on to join yours. And Parler didn't do that, did it? And Truth Social, like, I'll tell you what. I'm going to open up my phone right now. And
it's only allowing iPhone users.
I'm going to go to the Truth Social app right now. And it says...
I have an iPhone.
Well, hang on a second. It says that I am still number 416,212 on the wait list. I have been on that wait list since the day this went live. which means this is never going anywhere. Because social media should be the easiest thing ever to start. You just go online and people just start signing up. And yet, nobody's allowed to. I mean, think of imagine if World of Warcraft, right? That's a game that a lot of us know about. It's been around for, 20 years almost? Think about this. Imagine if World of Warcraft made an announcement saying, look, we've had our fun. This game has been great. We have connected tens of millions of people all across the world to our platform. You have created communities. There have been people who found each other, who started families in real life, from their clans to their real lives, right? It brought people together. It's been an amazing thing, but we're going to shut it down. And on June 1st of 2022, we're creating World of Warcraft 2. We had to start it all over. New engine, new everything. The number of people who would register and join that would be in the tens of millions on day one. Okay? That is another version of social media. It just has a game attached to it. Parler could have done the same thing. Trump's Truth Social could have done the same thing. Nobody took him up. So the fact that Elon Musk saw all this, and he goes, yeah, I could start my own to promote the freedom of speech or whatever, but nobody's going to leave what they've already got. So I'll just buy the thing that already has it. Instead of buying or starting one and then trying to attract 1 billion people, he just bought the platform that already had 1 billion people on it. We say the same thing on YouTube. We're not monetized, but we didn't join YouTube to be part of YouTube. We joined YouTube because it has 50 million viewers on it. We just wanted the fish. We didn't care about the ocean. And that's what Elon Musk has done with Twitter. He doesn't care about Twitter. He wanted all the people. Daniel says Truth will be up and running in 7 days. He's been saying that for 3 months. So I'll believe it when I see it. Because I don't believe it.
Yeah.
And even if it does get up and running, he fucked Parler. Parler was created for Trump. The guy who started Parler would have very happily and willingly sold it to him. And Trump said, no thanks, I'll start my own.
Mm-hmm.
You ungrateful prick. Either way, neither one of them's going to work. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I joined it, but I'm not expecting anything from it. I
Neither
joined
am I.
Parler on day one. Still not
So did
expecting
I.
shit from it.
Nope.
Anyway, let's move on. I got one more story for you, and I'll get you out of here within, apparently 2 hours. And if you ate and you throw up, I'm sorry. If you vomit, my apologies. But here's a picture of something that may make you lose your appetite. 6:55 p.m. Moscow. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Monday is accusing the United States and its allies of trying to, quote, split Russian society following its invasion of Ukraine. Speaking at a meeting with top officials at the Prosecutor General's office, Putin said Russia has come under unprecedented Western sanctions. Oh, wow, you admitted that it's hurting you. For its military campaign in Ukraine, which is now in its 61st day. He charged that the U.S. and its allies have sought to split the Russian society and to destroy Russia from within, adding that their plans have failed. Putin urged Russian prosecutors to act more quickly to block unsanctioned demonstrations organized from abroad. He also noted that they should focus on exposing open provocations against the Russian military, allegedly involving international media and social platforms. At one point during the meeting, Putin claimed Russia foiled a plot by a terrorist group to kill state TV propagandist Vladimir Soloviev, according to Reuters. The news outlet quoted Russian Federal Security Service leader Alexander Bortnikov as saying that a group of 6 neo-nationalist Russian citizens were trying to murder Soloviev on behalf of Ukraine's state security service. Ukraine said in a statement that it has no plans to assassinate Soloviev. The meeting Monday comes hours ahead of UN Security General Antonio Guterres' planned visit with Putin in Moscow on Tuesday. So, let me get this straight. Putin,
Someone seems a little chummy with Putin.
Putin, a Cold War KGB and FSB relic, starts a war under the premise of the old Cold War boogeyman with a nuclear button. And the world sort of renegs, or sort of buys into it, and they're scared of him. Then he takes a land-based campaign and fails horribly in 61 days. He has an infantry that's made up of young people that were not born into communism, who don't believe in his socialism, who don't believe that they have been forced to kill their, quote, brothers and sisters that Russian state TV has been trying to convince the people for the last 8 years that Ukrainians are. You've been trying to tell us they're our brothers and sisters, and then you order us to kill them. So, the people don't believe this war, and yet he's accusing us of trying to split society. Well, maybe if you were communist fully in that country, and your people believed in communism, then you wouldn't feel split. But the fact of the matter is you started this war, let's see, 28 years too late. If you did this at the fall of the Soviet Union back in, was it 96? You might have a leg to stand on in this argument. But the fact of the matter is 28 years later, an entire generation has cycled out yours in terms of serving the Soviet Union. They don't buy it. We didn't divide your society. You did. They were perfectly happy with you being the leader of a capitalist Russian Federation. You wanted to fuck it up because you are trying to legacy build in the twilight years of your life. They didn't ask for this. None of them asked for this. If you poll people in Russia right now and said, do you believe in this war? They're going to say, no. I have the internet. I watch Al Jazeera. I watch world news. Our guy is a moron. But the problem is we can't stop him because we don't have a Second Amendment here. We don't have the right to keep and bear arms. We can't rise up and overthrow our dictator, that is. We can't do that. And yet, in our country, we're divided to the point where half of our country is literally building the cage of their own civil rights that they're willing to walk into. And the rest of us are like, go fuck yourself. I ain't walking in that cage. I'm not even building that cage. You guys are idiots. But that's how liberals work, isn't it? So anyway, let me get this disgusting picture off of here. And I'm going to check the stories of the day to see if there were any surprising updates. Apparently, Russian spies appear to confuse the Sims for SIM cards in an assassination plot? An apparent effort by Russian security services accused of staging a Ukrainian assassination attempt showed copies of The Sims video games that could have been mistaken for SIM cards, according to reports. The investigative committee of the Russian Federation announced that it had arrested 6 neo-Nazis who they said planned to kill Russian TV host Vladimir Solovyov in Moscow. The agency claimed Ukrainian security services tried killing Solovyov with a car bomb. The images released shows a red t-shirt with a swastika next to 3 copies of The Sims 3 video games. Who knew they were so into The Sims 3? Stated BBC journalist Francis Scar. Somebody from the top most likely wrote 3 SIM cards in Cyrillic, and some genius obeyed. Elliot Higgins, founder of Bellingcat, a Netherlands-based investigative research group, that has followed developments in Ukraine closely, seem to agree. I genuinely believe this is a stupid FSB officer being told to get 3 Sims. Right. Let's see. Oh my god. Zelensky says Ukraine will definitely win despite enduring 2 months of countless bombs. Ukraine President Zelensky thanked those in the international community who continue to work to support Ukraine as its war with Russia recently crossed the 2-month mark. Russia has launched an offensive against Ukraine in many directions. Missile strikes, air raids, artillery, tanks, everything, Zelensky says. Russian troops did not spare anything, any means to kill us, kill Ukrainians, and destroy our land. More than 1,100 missiles have landed on Ukraine's soil since Russia first invaded the country on February 24th, but the Ukrainian president said Russia will not achieve victory that they seek. In 2 months, they used more than 1,100 missiles against us, countless bombs and artillery. They tortured, robbed, raped us, and executed people. They mined our land, he said. Peaceful cities and villages were turned into hell. Some Ukrainian cities and communities were destroyed to the ground, but they did not achieve anything, and they continue to not achieve anything. Zelensky said that even the areas that fell to Russia's military continue to defy their occupation, a resilience that has come to define the Ukrainian spirit. Kherson, Kakova, Melitopol. Oh my god, how do I pronounce that one? Dnipro-Rudne. I got it. Enerhodar and other cities where the Russian occupiers temporarily entered did not obey them. People showed with their protest their attitudes towards the occupiers, showed that Ukraine will definitely win. Well, you gotta admit, he has no shortage of confidence. Anyway, I don't have any other stories for the day. Do you?
I post them for you.
Well, no, but most of those fell into days earlier. I thought I sort of bled them all in.
Yeah.
Alright. Well then, with that being said, what I think I'm going to do, since I've wasted 2 hours and 3 minutes of your time so far, is I'm going to play this. And I'm going to thank you all for being very patient for my late start today, and to be very active in the chat, which is awesome. And I want to thank my panelists. Yeah, well, I want to thank my panelists for being here too, because, yeah, we may bicker back and forth, but we're all on the same page. So anyway, if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a regular here, welcome back. Either way, check out my other playlists and see if my other interests might be of interest to you, especially since I've been very busy with gun reviews. Now I've got to sort of maybe record some more for you guys, because I don't have anything for this Sunday. Anyway, this was the War Room. This was Day 61. We'll be back tomorrow, news permitting, and we'll see you tomorrow. Slava Ukraini.
Heroyam Slava. Shut up, being French.
203.50.